Okay, welcome to another edition of Track Talk Tuesday with Pinoyathletics on the 1st of September 2020. So we're going to begin off by mainly discussing the new national record in the 200 meters. I'm just going to check now to make sure that this live stream is actually pushing through on Facebook. Okay, good, it is. Okay, so without further ado, I'll just quickly present some slides. Here you go. Awesome. So yeah, Christina Knott has broken Lydia Vega's 100-meter national record in the weekend with a run of 11:27, breaking Lydia Vega's 11:28. So I'll just play a quick video of that. One minute. Okay. So yeah, like Zoom login is attached to the page in the group. I'm just going to play this quick video. Okay, just 1 minute. I'll just share that one. Okay, so I played the video of Christina Knott's 100. We'll be coming up with some reactions later on on that video. Okay. Okay, so just a quick comparison after the video of Christina Knott and Lydia De Vega. So here are some stats on the two athletes with noticeable differences in backgrounds. Okay, so just making sure that that screen was showing on the stream. So yeah, so like 87. So this sort of, I'm just getting like I was just in a rush to create this spreadsheet, so I kind of like had to just noticed a typo there. It's been quite a crapper of a day, to be honest. So I just really rushed a lot of this presentation. So yeah, so so like some comparisons between Christina Knott and Lydia De Vega. Obviously, as pointed out, Christina Knott has a Filipino mum, and like Lydia De Vega had two Filipino parents, which has been pointed out by some commenters on pinoyathletics, which I'll address in a minute. Christina Knott obviously started athletics at a later age, 16, 17, whereas Lydia De Vega started at a much earlier age of 11 and 12, competing in grade 5 and grade 6. And Christina Knott didn't really take up athletics until later in high school, which is something to note as well. So obviously, if we look at Lydia De Vega, she was 11 or 12 when she started running. She was 23 when she set the national record. So she'd been running for about 11 years at that point when she was at her prime. Christina Knott has been running for about 8 or 9 years at 25. To get where she is today. So she's been running about 8 or 9 years. So now we look at the statistics. Let's remove this a little bit. Okay, so Lydia De Vega ran 11:28 and 23:35. Christina Knott ran 11:27 and 23:01 for the 1 and the 2. So obviously, now Christina Knott's time is a bit in front, roughly 0.01, so around the mark of Lydia De Vega. But in the 200, her time is quite significantly faster. Like we're talking 0.01 and 0.34 here. So if at the time when she ran 23:01 in the SEA Games, her PB was 11:42. So if we divide 23:01 by 2, we get 11:50. So meaning with those times, she's running around, roughly, close to what her 100 time is for each 100 of that 2. Whereas with Lydia De Vega, she ran 23:35 at that point, and if you divide 23:35 by 2, that's 11:62. Which is quite somewhat off her 11:28, meaning that she's losing quite a lot of speed in that 200. So I mean, if you ran 11:28, theoretically you should be able to run about 22:60 off that. double 11:28 is 22:56. You should be able to run 22:60, 22:70, certainly below 23 with these sort of times. Yeah, so that's a comparison. Is that Christina Knott in all aspects is honestly able to hold up, her 200 speed a lot better than Lydia de Vega was able to at the time. I mean, if we even went into, I haven't even put it here yet, but if we went into 60-meter times, I mean, de Vega was about 7.3, Knott was a 7.4, but like she's probably gotten quicker based on that start in this video. So, like Lydia's running 11:28 off a 7.3, 7:37 60-meter time. Yeah, so that's the first set of information we have here. Then we're looking at the next set of information here, which is the Olympic 100 standards. So the Olympic qualifiers we're checking out now. Again, I'm just checking the stream to make sure that this is actually coming up right on the screen. It doesn't seem to be. Oh, here we go. Yeah, now it's up. Okay. There's a bit of delay in the live stream. So, yeah, the Olympic 1 and 200 meter qualifiers is 11:15 and 22:80 for the 1 and the 2 for the women's 100. Last time I checked, there was 21 athletes who had hit that qualification, but that's probably in the 200. There was about 21 athletes who had hit the standard out of, I think it was 32 slots, or maybe it was 40 slots. But yeah, there was about 21 qualifications in there, but it's probably changed since now. But the other thing to note is that the qualification period is from November 30 till June 13. So as of June 2020 to November 30, 2020, we are actually in a non-qualifying period at the moment to align with the fact that, there's longer between 2016 and 2021 Olympics. So yeah, so based on these stats, Christina Knott is now 0.12 off the Olympic 100 meter standard, and she's now in the 200. She's now just she is but based on her 200 time in the SEA Games, she's 0.21 off that time. But because obviously she's had a gain in the 100, if we times 11:27 by 2, that gives us 22:56, which is actually 0.24 faster than the 200 time. That's why, like the goal is, the objective is to try and qualify in both events, but as explained before, the 200 seems to show quite a lot of, there seems to be a lot of leverage now on that 200, with the fact that, her 100's gotten quicker, so naturally that 2 should also come down as well. Okay, next. So yeah, now this is the women's 100 meter all-time list for the 100 meters. So Christina Knott now tops it with 11:27 with that plus 1.5 tailwind in the weekend. So Lydia de Vega now with that 11:28, which was a remarkable performance because it was set 33 years ago in the 1987 Southeast Asian Games. Now, a lot of people are asking me on Pinoyathletics if we have a video available for that. Unfortunately, we don't, but if we do have a video, we will provide it as soon as it becomes available to us. As you know, we don't really hold stuff back. Yeah, so then of these athletes, Zion Nelson is ranked 3rd with 11:41 last year. And of all of these athletes, 4 of them are currently still active: Christina Knott, Zion Nelson, Kayla Richardson, and Kyla Richardson. So these 4 full heritage athletes from states and Canada. They're all active at the moment. In fact, they were the four members of that comprised the 4x1 at the SEA Games that took the silver medal and set a new national record. So of these names as well, important to note is that so these four, Knott, Nelson, Richardson, and Richardson are from they're all active now, so they're from today's period. These athletes here, Ganossa, Capistrano, Moros Posadas, and Lydia Vega, these are 80s, early 90s athletes. These two athletes here, Griffey and Gabito, were 2000, and in the case of Griffey, 2010 athletes. So basically, with the women's 100 meters for the all-time list, four late 80s, 90s athletes, four currently running athletes, and then two athletes who were running around like I would like to say around 10, 8, 5, 6, 7, 6, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, for these two. Okay. So the next thing. So yeah, just with all due respect to Lydia Vega, this is just some information on her records to the public. So Lydia Vega's national records so far. So at one stage, Lydia Vega held 6 national records, 3 in the women's, 3 in the junior women's, and like in the 1, the 2, and the 4. But now only one of those records still stands. So this is just going through the records. So in the women's 100, Lydia Vega held the 100-meter record from 1982 to 2020. Possibly longer, possibly 81, but I haven't really dug into it. Haven't had time. So take into account when she ran the 11:28 in 97, it wasn't the first time she actually broke the Philippine record, because, I mean, when she ran the Philippine junior record in New Delhi at the Asian Games and won the Asian Games as an 18-year-old, 11:76 was the national record, because it was quicker than what any senior had ran. So she started breaking national records at a very early age and just continued to improve on them until she reached her prime in 1987 at the age of 23 and ran 11:28 at the 1987 SEA Games. So in the women's 200, she held the women's 100 record for 38 years. She held the women's 200 for 28 years, from 81 to 2019. It was first broken by Zion Corrales Nelson at the West NCAA Championships in Sacramento with 23, 24, and 23:16 it was. So there's another thing fixed there. So 23:16. 2019. Then Christina Knott further improved on those records with 23:07 and 23.01. So the women's 400, that record was held by Lydia Vega for 32 years, from 81 to 2013, when she ran 54:75. And the women's 400 and the junior women's 400 are tied up, because all the people who have broken the women's 400 record, including De Vega herself, were all juniors when they did it. So the junior/women's record was broken first by Jenny Rose Rosales at the UAAP in 2013, then Zion Nelson with 54:64 at 54:18, and then by Kayla Richardson with 53:81, where it remains. Looking at the other record, so the junior women's 100 was held by, that was actually the shortest record that Vega held, but it still stood for 22 years. It was broken in 2004 by Princess Joy Griffey with 11.75. Then it was broken again by Kayla Richardson with 11.65 in 2015. The 11.65 by Kayla in 2015 wasn't her Southeast Asian Games run. It was a run at the California Interschool meet. The only remaining record of Lydia Vega is her impressive junior record in the 200, which has stood for 39 years. She was 17 when she ran in the time of 23.54. Okay, next. So, reactions to KK's record, what do you think? Well, I'm just going to make some comments. I've seen some rather snide comments, to be honest, on Pinoy Athletics, with some comments about, the athlete isn't pure Filipino, or like making a lot of analogies and comparisons with Lydia Vega. I think that we have to respect both these athletes, but that's what we need to do. I mean, for a start on Pinoy Athletics, I've got a very firm policy that, everybody's entitled to an opinion. Everyone's allowed to express their opinion. Everybody is allowed to have their say. But at the end of the day, it should not come down to any personal attacks on anybody. I absolutely do not tolerate that. It's not, if we're going to have discussions on Pinoy Athletics, they should be constructive, well researched, and informative, and everyone should keep an open mind on things. I think that, to be honest, I respect both these athletes because, for example, I understand that Lydia Vega is a household name. She's an icon. She is, very well known in the hearts and minds of the Filipinos, and she still is. I don't see, it's completely understandable. The things to remember is these are different times. We're talking about the 80s, and, from today, fast forward, 38 years. The things that are respectable is that, De Vega's record stood a very long time. We're talking the shortest of those records I just read out stood for 22 years. 38 years, 39 years before some of these records were broken, which is something to be extremely proud of. The fact that, you're able to create times that have really stood and are still relatively, 11:28 is still, relatively good because, Christina Knott broke the time by 0.01 and 11:27 ranks the top 25 in the world. So, even today, Lydia's times are respectable. What I'm saying is that with some of these remarks, is that, the records are meant to be broken eventually. Eventually records come, records go. Eventually, yeah. But, when people are commenting about, if an athlete is, not pure Filipino or an athlete is Filipino, for me, I don't see what the point of it is. I'm pretty sure that, Christina just has worked really hard to get where she is in terms of getting this performance, and she really put a lot of passion into representing the Philippines. So she even went and trained and lived with the athletes there before COVID, and like went through the same sort of things that they went through in terms of like the accommodation, the funding, and all that sort of stuff. So I think that we should be just wishing her all the best in this Olympic dream, and like being a bit more constructive about what sort of comments we're making in regards to the athletes, in regards to how the athlete fits in. I mean, I think that we should be happy the national record has finally been broken after 39 years, and like this could be like at 25 you could still continue to improve on this record. So I think that we should really support her in her Olympic campaign. All right, so the next next screen. So yeah, this next screen is the UAP board will reach a verdict on the UST Sorsogon bubble incident today. As of now, quite a few of the members have already changed teams due to fears of a possible sanction on the UST basketball team, which would be one of the more worst case scenarios. As of now, I've been in touch with some reporters to try to get an update on this, but I haven't got any information yet on this topic. But once they have some news, they'll provide me with some scoops on the story. Okay, so last week we interviewed Cristobal Marquez on Saturday, former two-time SEA Games champion in the women's marathon. These are some things we picked up, some valuable lessons and some important notes regarding her journey. I saw the national athletes training at Baguio, and I hope one day that could be me. So that's what Marquez said to us when she was a teenager, and she first saw all the national athletes training there, was inspired to one day make that her goal, which later became a reality as she went on to win two SEA Games marathon championships and break the Philippine record in the 10,000 meters, which still stands. Okay, another quote here is, our recovery for 25 times 400 meters was 30 seconds, but I ended up getting 10 seconds because the boys were quicker, so I didn't get as much rest. So yeah, as the only female training squad, was tough, had to train with the male athletes, and was just as determined to make sure that she wasn't going to hold back. So training was 160 to 200 kilometers when training for the Fort Mary Marathon. The 10K national record was just something that happened on the way. Okay, the link below, pinoyathletics.info, Cristobal Marquez, the marathon queen. We have full bio and all coverage of our exclusive interview with Cristobal Marquez, of that 1 hour interview that we had with her last Saturday. All right, so finishing off, track ovals in the Philippines. Again, this is a reference guide, a complete comprehensive reference guide of 78 track ovals in the Philippines at pinoyathletics.info/athletic track. And all the details can be found there. Moving on, survey results. So we conducted a survey on our Athletics Facebook group. If a student is recruited by a school on an athletic scholarship and they follow the coach's program 100%, and in a year they do not improve or marginally improve, should they be removed from their scholarship? Considering the student has good academics, passing grades, 23 said no, they should not be removed. 23 yes, 3 people said yes, and 2 people said the coach should be accountable. Right. So rounding it off, I'll be conducting my testing for athletes that I'm looking after at the moment. So for the middle distance runners, we're having a Cosman test, which is 1 minute, which is a test for 800 meters. You run 1 minute, record the distance, rest 3 minutes, then run another minute and record the distance. So that simulates, how far the athlete can get in a set period of time with calculations, and we can figure out an 800-meter time off that. Solo effort in this case. The copper test, 1500 meters, 12-minute run, record the distance, sprints. So yeah, I'm giving the athletes, two boys I'm working with, who are in their late teens, 60, 150, 300 on full recovery. So about 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes between 60 and the 150, maybe up to about 30 minutes between the 150 and the 300. The boys PB'd this week at 16.5 and 16.7 for 150 last week as part of the session. So it's going to be interesting to see, if they, surely they're going to go a little bit quicker with, less runs in total, because, the 16.5, 16.7s, that was after doing about maybe, 800, 900 meters worth of sprints, so in a session. So they'll be a bit fresher for testing week. Anyway, with that said, that is now, unfortunately, that is all we have time for today. So I'll just see who's tuned in. I'll just post some shout outs. So shout outs to Rain Carlos, Antonio Arcus, Jefferson Sebastian, Niladina Malari, Naveen Lagua, Wilson McCavery, Ronald Tampos, Sean Parado, Carlos Rendon, Zijing Lee, Nina Buenaventura, and some more. Yep. And who else has tuned in? I think there's a few more. There's a few more. Okay. All right. So thank you, and we will next be screening on Saturday.